And 5.3 is Friends of the North Huron Library or Museum. Okay, Bill, you can lead off.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again. It's my pleasure to be here. I'd like to introduce some of the volunteers who have just come by to show their support for the museum. We have Peter Gray behind me, who will do the presentation, Dixie Lee Arbuckle, and Judy Lyons. And Verna Steffler was to be here, but she's wearing two hats tonight, so she wasn't sure if she could make it or not. I also wanted to thank Brock Bodden for his ongoing support. It's a new experience to work with a counselor, and we appreciate his availability, for one, his passion for history, and his desire to see things grow at the museum and throughout our county. And we work with him to do that. So thank you, Brock. Our presentation night is sort of in three parts. It's the last year, what we do and what we've done, challenges we're facing, and then perhaps where do we go next? What's the vision for the future?
All right, thank you for letting us speak tonight. We appreciate it, and I'll just jump right to it. Okay, the history. The Friends group was established in 2009 to put together the museum in order and open it up to the public. A 5-year plan was prepared and submitted. A copy of the plan should be with your package. The volunteers spent 18 to 24 months completing these tasks through tremendous hard work, dedication, and with the cooperation and assistance of Pat Newton for urgently needed repairs. For the overview of accomplishments and ongoing initiatives, cataloging artifacts. It's a bit of a challenge, and I will go through that later on in the presentation. Cleaning, dusting, and tidying exhibits, creating new exhibits, both temporary and permanent, creating and delivering educational programs with the help of our summer students, some are mentioned within the presentation, organizing the third floor, which again is a challenge, and I will touch base on that later on in the presentation, accepting and documenting artifacts, developing, promoting, and delivering special events. Some are off-site, several times a year, for example, the Edwardian Tea, Halloween Festival of Lanterns, involved in Christmas, as well as the Muskrat Festival. Continuation of that, conducting and assisting with research as required, interacting with the public, giving tours. And I want to just point out some of these volunteers with the museum. Sometimes it's written there, but I'll just add a little bit. Some are given half an hour to an hour's notice. They get a call to come in. They will come in, they will drop what they're doing, come to the museum, give tours, answer questions, assist the public in any research, and let them go through the material with our assistance. Writing newspaper articles, making connections with local group and regional organizations. Like I said before, we have a great reputation with our local Legion. We exchange artifacts back and forth, as well as Alice Munro Public Library. Fundraising. Throughout the year, in the summer months, I should say, we do 2 barbecues, sometimes a yard sale to raise funds. We also have to admission into our Edwardian Tea celebration, which adds some of our revenue. Staying current with museum procedures through membership in professional organizations. Museum, a lot of things are changing constantly, how to put artifacts, how to display the artifacts, so we need to keep current with this in order for us to stay current as a museum. Future plans. The Friends see tremendous potential to contribute to the cultural and history aspects of all the municipalities involved with their economic development with our exhibits. Some of the examples are Alice Munro, George Reed, Harry Boyle, and this year marks the 100th anniversary of the 161st Huron Battalion sailing overseas in November of 1916. Also next year, Canada's 150th anniversary. We see there's some great possibilities moving forward for next year. Some of the challenges we are having, we feel as a Friends that planning beyond 2016 isn't possible given the lengthy list of challenges presented by us. Most one is the building. Inconsistent heating and cooling does impact all of our artifacts. Most notably is the paper archives, which are beginning to wilt, to discolor, whatnot. It's the same as our material, the wool, even as far much as wooden artifacts are beginning to dry out and chip away. It's a truly shame. Accessibility to the second and third floor, I say this every year, it's an ongoing problem. Our customers can't, most of our customers are senior citizens and can't get to the second floor. It's pretty simple that way. Inadequate display and storage space. As I touched on that, most of our displays are on the second floor, and we're limited to what we can use for the first floor because there's a shared space with the public. They use it for public meetings and whatnot. So we're very limited to what we can actually display on the first floor, which is the challenge. Cataloging, program, and research. Continuing consistently will be best served by the Friends supporting and assisting a qualified museum curator. Right now, cataloging, for the most part, it's come to a standstill. We have gone, and I'll just use kind of the terms that I was explaining to me. There is a past perfect cataloging program out there. It's evolved to what I would refer to as past perfect number 2. No one at this point is completely qualified on that program. So right now, the cataloging is going to pile up. To touch base on what cataloging is, it is more than simply adding a number to an artifact. It's the only system we have right now of inventory control. I personally do not know, and I know I've talked to some of the Friends, of what percentage of our inventory is not in the system, but I really imagine it's fairly high. With not knowing what's in the building, to me, it's a huge security risk. Direction, governance, and communication. Due to the lack of clear expectations for the Friends Museum, the Friends developed and submitted a draft terms of reference for the operation of the group and are still awaiting a response. An updated copy is included in your package. The Friends are looking for guidelines and support from Council. As noted, the Blue Rhino design, Alice Munro Museum feasibility study report of June 2015, day-to-day governance is unclear. The Friends, for various reasons, several members are no longer available, and without more volunteers, coupled with support from a qualified curator, the group can't maintain the full schedule of activities listed earlier. Council support is essential to help recruit more volunteers. A few examples we were thinking of is through social media or enclosure in the township tax notices. Here's an example. In 2013, there were 1,158 volunteer hours, yet in 2015, there was a mere 536 hours. The lack of accessibility, especially to the third floor, is a genuine limit to most of the volunteers. Questions for councils. Now, we obviously do not expect answers today. It's just something we want to leave you with and some of our concerns, some you can mull over when you go home. How will the implementation of the Blue Rhino Report's recommendations impact the future of the museum? And how can we help and work with council and the other four municipalities to move forward? How can we support council with their development and direction, both short and long term, for the North Huron Museum and the Friends? And thirdly, is there anyone on our behalf looking for grant money? Now, I understand we're working with Brock. Grant money is assigned to you if you're working on a project. We do have some ideas this year. As I've mentioned, 161st Huron Battalion's anniversary. If we move forward on a presentation or display, who is our contact look for grant money? Short and sweet. Does anybody have any questions for myself or the other members of the Friends? Going once.
Perfect.
So I want to thank you because this is kind of where I have asked a few times about the museum, about the conversation about the Alice Munro, the literary report that came, and how does this all encompass? What does this report tell us? And a lot of these challenges that we have are the building, and that is not going to change anytime soon,
Correct.
Unfortunately. So the conversation needs to be, what are our alternatives? And I gotta admit, I've begun the read of that report. It is not an easy report to read, but there needs to be a solution that solves accessibility, but also the conversation about where the artifacts are and collecting and cataloging it. And there needs to be a viable solution within the municipality. In fact, we just have to think about it. And at some point, I think right now, it's come to that head where volunteerism, accessibility, it's all starting to crumble. And now is not the time that we should have been looking at it. We should have been looking at it a year or two before, but now it's a critical mass. So, like, I think again, I'm gonna ask council I think from a staff perspective, at some point, I think we need to get some kind of a staff report that tells us what are our alternatives. Like, Does it have to stay in that building? Does it not stay in that building? Like, I don't know what the alternative or what the other options we have. But we need something. We need something that we can kind of mull over and talk about. Because we could sit here all day and figure out ideas, but we're not here every day looking at the day-to-day operation of that building and that thing. So, I'm willing to put on a motion on the table to ask for a staff report for the alternatives for the museum and what those look like.
I'll second that. I guess it's fine. We're going to make a vote like this.
Okay, all in favor? Right.
I just like to share some thoughts. When I look at our budget, pretty well every item on the budget has to do with the building. And some references to staffing, but staff that are not involved in the program. If you look really hard at the budget, you still can't find much to do with the program and what the museum offers. And I think that's an indication that we need to, as a council, start thinking about what are the options in terms of what we're delivering to the public. And there should be, I would think, some program funds in there if we're going to support adequately this group of volunteers. So I think that's not offering the answer. I think the answer hopefully will come from the staff report where we look into these things. But and it's not an easy question because museums traditionally do not sustain themselves. Even the greatest museum in the world has a difficulty supporting itself. And so it's going to cost something. We have to decide what is the value of it and how do we make the most of the resource that we already have, and how do we work with our volunteer group so that they get satisfaction and the municipality gains the benefit from it.
Well,
Any other questions?
on my part, I've seen a number of the ones over the past years, how dedicated they are to working at the things and doing the best job that they can. And that is something that deserves a very big thank you because they believe in honoring the heritage of the community and identifying those things that have been part of our past in the community and honoring those, I'll say, events, the pictures, the write-ups of different things that have happened and cataloging them and having them in order so that it's at least a doable task in putting displays together. That I know that 10 years ago, that when I went into the third floor, it was, where the heck do you start if you're going to try and put some of this stuff in order? So that I know there's a lot of stuff to do, but there's been a lot of hours of diligent work to try and get things started, and started they have, and they've done a good job on as far as they've been able to get the work done. Good.
So I see a couple of things here, and since we've been directed to do a report, I would expect that could come to you in a couple of stages. One of the first things that I think we can work on is the mandate of the committee and getting those terms of reference spelled out. And I think that should happen as a first piece so that it doesn't have to be painful to be a volunteer for the township. And so the discussion about the building is going to be a longer one, and I think we need to pull in a bunch of different parties to have that discussion. with our facilities manager, our clerk who's responsible for the museum, and also our EDO, who will have input into the Alice Munro project and the future of that. So, I would suggest the report may come to you in a couple of different phases.
Trevor?
I just want to question, do we still have, and this for you, Reeve, to Pat, do we still have inconsistent heating and cooling with the new furnace and boiler we put into the museum? Do we still have inconsistent heating and cooling?
We have never had really cooling in the building. We have heating in the building, which was flipped from oil to natural gas, and it has been an improvement in that there is actually some warmth in the building. But the concept of trying to do humidity control and air conditioning is really being handled by 2 window units, one on the first floor, one on the second floor. One is installed in the, not in a window, but it's still trying to function that way. Our initial quotes a few years ago for some sort of humidity/cooling system is over $30,000. So we didn't take that to the next step at that time with that council.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, Okay, moving to 6.1.1, the 2016 Annual Accessibility Plan. It was, and that we need a motion to adopt that plan. Councillor Knott, Councillor Dominga. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving to the Finance Department, 6.2. Okay. Okay. We move right to 6.8, and that is suggested motion of approved pre-budget release of the reserve of police funds up to $39,000 to purchase a used police cruiser to immediately replace the non-serviceable cruiser. Councillor Vaughn moves. Deputy Reeve Campbell seconds. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving to correspondence. Any comments?
Because there is a motion there.
That if you want to support the World Autism Day, April 4th, and Raise the Flag campaign. Councillor Sype.
Just a question. By doing this, would we have to make an amendment to our actual flag policy? Because it actually states in our flag policy that you can't raise any other flag but a township flag on township property.
Yes.
That is correct, and we have been following that.
So in the motion, if we are approved, you're to exclude the policy of the flag policy, is that what I'm hearing? Okay. I'll make that motion
In support of it.
in support of it, yes.
And Deputy Reeve Campbell seconds. Any other questions on that? All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to council reports and for the Reeves activity report, a week ago, that the ones on the Blythe Brussels girls teams, plus the amalgamations of other players, were successful in the silver stick, in the bantam and midget divisions. They were both successful in winning silver stick at Port Elgin. I think that's very nice, and that family Funapalooza went very well. I attended Belgrave and Blythe. I wasn't in Lincoln for it, but things went very well and well attended in both Belgrave and Blythe. That I know that this altered agenda and going a different way with procedural bylaw. This council is bound to operate in a similar fashion to the Parliament of Canada, the Legislature of Ontario, and that we try to be as open as we can to our residents and citizens, but the true rules that as head of council is that I am to conduct a meeting with staff and council. And those are the ones that are supposed to be the important ones, because they are the ones that were elected to make the decisions. And I hope with having the process for written questions coming forward, that we can give very good, complete answers to some of those questions. We have all the council having emails and telephone numbers where they can be reached. I feel that we have a very good council for trying to be open to the public as much as we can. I know that there's a number of times that when good news stories come and things are going where it's still in camera, I feel awful hemmed in by not being able to shout the good news, but that's all part of the process and the oath that we take in the oath of office to try and follow all the rules of the country, the province, and our own municipal bylaws. So that it's still a pretty good place to live, and that I think that in people wanting to contact us, that I know that I've had a lot more people contacting me in the past 2 weeks. In fact, I had 4 people on the phone today discussing things that the township was doing, and I'm very open to it. I'm sure the rest of the council is, as they can schedule it amongst their other items in their busy lifestyles. So I will move on to setting individual councillors' make updates, or verbal or written updates? Councillor Waddon?
Just going forward on what you were saying as Reeve, I think that was a very good presentation, and I think that's fits in with certainly with my goals in terms of openness and transparency. I just like to add that I have a little bit of concern. I'm wondering if we're giving adequate access to the press. I think it's extremely important that they have a chance to clarify things, and that there's a ready and welcome response to any questions that they have at the time of the meeting, as well as later on. And so I just want to make sure that we're looking after that.
In looking after that, that if we go in camera, there will be a short recess, and we will try and answer the press comments at that time or after the meeting, whichever. That usually the meetings don't last very long if there's no in camera to finish the meetings. But I will definitely have a recess for the press to ask questions of clarification, etc. As we go in camera, if we're doing an in-camera session.
I just wanted to remind council that next week, Thursday, the 25th, the WMBIA is having their AGM. I'm inviting all of you to join. It.
I would love to be there. I am triple booked for that time slot.
No worries.
It isn't that I wouldn't like to be there.
Same here.
This year we're doing something different. We're having an awards presentation for certain things. So we'll be acknowledging 3 new businesses that opened up in Wingham, and also the membership is voting on 4 different awards: Civic Improvement, Volunteer of the Year, Business of the Year, and Lifetime Achievement.
Thank you. Councillor Slate?
Yeah, I just want to, I would wonder if there was some comment or something about the email. I got an email from the town of Aurora. A councillor has to do with the OMB. He's put on a motion to his council requesting other municipalities to get on board, that the appeal process to the OMB should not be the appeal process. His argument based on the amount of money that the municipality pays in planning, the official plan, the planning amendments, all that type of stuff, and to have the appeal heard at the Ontario Municipal Board, and they just are not looking at the facts, they just look at law and legislation. Are they undermining the process? And it was an interesting read. I don't know what the answer really is. I don't know, like, obviously you need to have an appeal process, but it's an interesting read from that municipality's perspective. I don't know how it affects us. Like, I don't know if we've ever had an appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board. I haven't heard in the year that I've been.
I've been through a number of them.
So the conversation really is, does that, are we getting what we're wanting out of that appeal process, and is there another option, I guess, is the question.
Sure.
So typically, if a municipality is passing a motion like that and they're looking for support from other municipalities, they would direct that the correspondence be sent to the clerk of every municipality in Ontario, and perhaps forwarded to MPs, MPPs. I don't know. I don't think I've seen that correspondence. So they're sending it directly to the councillors'
Yeah, I think
emails.
they're sending it. They send it right to council emails. But it was just one day. Like, it wasn't. It didn't have really a two. They're all blind copied.
Oh, okay.
So really, you didn't know who got it. So I wasn't sure if the clerks got it or not, or who got it.
We can check on that and see. It really should be included as formal correspondence to the council agenda, and then you could direct us to act on it however you chose.
Yeah, it was just, it just come in. It was something that was very interesting from a read perspective, and how their thoughts on the appeal process was. And I just wasn't sure who had got that message, or if it was just, if I was the lucky one, or Brock, me and Brock were the lucky one, I wasn't sure. It's just something that I think would be nice to kind of talk about more formally and see what our thoughts are.
Anything else? Okay. Moving to bylaws.
Councillor Knott.
Oh, Councillor Knott?
I just wanted to make a comment to everybody in general that over the last couple of weeks, I've been approached by several people in Blythe and so on, and they've made comment on the recent shared services agreement that we made with Morris Turnberry. And so far, I'm going to tell you they've all been favorable comments. And in fact, the majority of them were, it's about time, and this should have been done a long time ago. And as one gentleman who was a former counselor said to me, frankly, he says, I don't know how the hell you did it. He says, bless you. So just to pass that on to everybody in council that despite comments from other sources, the true ratepayers that have come forward have all been very much in favor of what we've done and are looking forward to success and hope that staff appreciate the way it's been handled as we do, and that it gets moved forward quickly and efficiently. And they also want to thank staff for their support of council in this move. They're very pleased by the fact that it got accomplished the way it did, and that staff seemed to be behind the whole program. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Sure.
Just to further that, since it was raised, I would like to let everyone know that we have received a delegation with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and also OMAFRA at the Ontario Good Roads and Roma Conference on the Sunday. They are also quite interested in this project. When we first started some discussion about the possibility of shared service of this magnitude with Morris Turnberry, we went to the province to ask for assistance. Are there any examples that you can help us with? And they are looking to rural Ontario and saying to us, you know, you need to do more sharing. You need to think outside the box because funding is being cut back, and we were very surprised to see that the answer was no, there are no examples there for you. So we decided then to go to the ministry and ask them if they would consider making this a pilot project or giving us some support to use this as a municipal best practice going forward. So we will be working on a presentation, Nancy, Mickey, and I, this week to be able to present at OGRA next week. So we are getting some attention provincially as well.
Thank you. Moving to the bylaws. Bylaw number 19, 2016. Being a bylaw to authorize the Township of North Huron to participate in an accessibility plan for the County of Huron and the Huron County lower tier municipalities as described and attached hereto as Schedule A, to be introduced and read a first and second time. So, Councillor Syke and Councillor Ritzman. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That bylaw number 19, being a bylaw to authorize the Township of North Huron to participate in the accessibility plan for the County of Huron and Huron County lower tier municipalities as described and attached as Schedule A, be read a third and final time, signed by the Reeve Clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book.
Just a question.
Question first?
The question is this of a normal nature that we wouldn't put a third time to the next? council meeting?
Sorry,
You want me to
the,
answer?
sorry,
But the accessibility,
it is to pass the update to the plan.
it's just doing the update. This is more or less a recurring thing that happens. It's not new or unusual.
So annually, we are required to update the plan, and so there are very limited changes to that. Right, it's a countywide, so if you would prefer to defer it to another meeting.
No, I
there's-
think based on our procedural bylaw, I think that'd be, it's good that we have, in the first couple of meetings, have a discussion to make sure that we're not,
Yeah.
not going outside of what our procedural bylaw stated.
Yep.
Agreed. So we did put the wording in the procedural bylaw that it would be all right for these routine annual type bylaws that, or bylaws where there are not significant change.
Councillor Vaughn moves, Councillor Knott seconds, all in favor? Carried. Okay, moving to bylaw 21. The bylaw number 21, 2016, being a bylaw to adopt the winter maintenance of sidewalks policy for the corporation of the Township of North Huron. Be introduced, read a first and second time. Deputy Reeve Campbell, Councillor Knott,
Second
Seconds.
for question.
question, go ahead.
Within the bylaw, I don't actually see it, and I would like to see a provision in here for a mandatory annual review of the sidewalks we plow prior to the next season. So that sometime before the start of the 2017 plowing season, that we review these sidewalks. And part of the reason for that, I've now been approached by several people within Blythe who've questioned our continued plowing of sidewalks there. Two people will request really that we don't plow their sidewalks last week. And one of the questions raised is because we closed the school in the meantime, so why are we still plowing sidewalks? That we always justified plowing the sidewalks because of the school. School no longer exists. Why are we spending the money? And I think that's a valid question. Because as I've said before, where I come from, they never plowed the sidewalks outside of 500 approximate meters from any school or public building, and it was a requirement under the law that if you had a snowfall, you cleared your own sidewalk within 48 hours, and if you didn't, then the town did it and charged you for it. So I would at least like to see a mandatory annual review of the sidewalks that we are plowing to determine if we need to still do them, because there could be changes within the year that might dictate they're no longer necessary.
Mhm.
So could we,
I'm wondering if rather than building in an annual review, like when you establish a level of service, council passes the bylaw and you establish the level of service. It's up to council at any point in time if they wish to review that level of service, or they can do so upon request of a member of the public. So if a member of the public has some concern, they could bring that forward through the request for service process, and council could reconsider their level of service at that time. I'm wondering if you really need to build it into the annual review, or just know that any member of council at any time has the ability to request a report on potential changes in the level of service.
unfortunately, I find that if we do that, they tend to fall through the cracks and we don't do the review on an annual basis. And by the time somebody realizes we should have maybe done that, it's too late. So I just feel that in a case like this, there's an awful lot of sidewalks there that I question. I can't say in regard to Wingham necessarily, because I don't know the sidewalks well enough or their usage patterns, but definitely in Blythe, there's some very questionable pieces that we plow that I don't think we should. And I think every year we should look at it and consider it from a cost perspective.
Councillor Slate next.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with Councillor Knott. The concerning part for me though is we're putting it in a bylaw as opposed to putting it on the councillor's plate to make the recommendation or to ask for the service request. Like, we're bearing it in as opposed to remembering Like if you want, like you can come tomorrow or next council meeting and ask for a service request of the sidewalks and any of the wards or all the wards. To me, I don't think by putting it in here, because then you're required to do it every year, and maybe every year isn't the right amount of time. So the question is, it can be done once, and then that counselor, after the report is presented, we can decide when the next time we want it. I think annually is way too excessive. I think it's way too much. Things don't change that frequently in a year. But do I disagree that they probably need to be looked at? They probably do, but I don't think it's the right place to put it in the bylaw. I think it's a service review request, no different than the public. The council can make those service review requests no different than we did with the 5 we did before the budget or after the budget time last year.
Councillor Vaughn.
I agree with Councillor Knott that it's really unfortunate that we don't have a school anymore. It was stolen from us. But we do have seniors. I've met some of them, the seniors in Blythe, that need help getting down the sidewalk sometimes. And I think that's just as important. And I think the service is very much appreciated by most people. I don't see any reason for changing it.
Councillor Halliday.
I'm agreeable to what Sharon had said about if it's a complaint, then it or a concern, then it comes through our system, right? And then that's when we deal with it. But we go with what we've got here now.
Sure.
I'm concerned about putting in the bylaw,
Right, exactly.
and then it falls through the cracks and we don't comply with our bylaw because we don't, we forget about it and we don't do it annually. I think, I do think you have the ability to review the level of service with the bylaw as it is. You can direct it at any time that you choose. That would be my concern, is that it's going to be overly administrative and it may just fall through the cracks anyway if it's an annual review and suddenly we forget about it. But that's something that we could bring up in our post-budget discussions every year. Is there any levels of service that you wish to look at now that we've established that? The way we did last year with our post-budget process to do the service review requests. It's just my thoughts.
Well, had I read the okay, that for the third time we finally signed
I don't have a rule on this.
mover and a seconder. Councillor Hallahan, Deputy Reeve Campbell. This is that as printed, and we will depend on the request for service review to trigger the use and the service review.
Okay. Are you questioning if the first motion was voted on?
I seconded it for questioning purposes, but we didn't vote on it.
Okay, yeah, okay. It's it's as printed. We discussed things, and I'm asking, are we ready to go to the vote on as printed
For the first and second.
for first and second reading? Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. And the adopt a winter maintenance policy of sidewalks policy for the corporation of the Township of North Huron to be read a third and final time and signed by the Reeve clerk. Councillor Taninga and Councillor Gladden. All in favor? Carried. That's well. Okay. And bylaw number 22, 2016, being a bylaw to adopt a winter operations plan for the corporation of the Township of North Huron to be introduced, read a first and second time.
So moved.
Councillor Syke and Councillor Knott. All in favor? Carried. And bylaw number 22 to be read a third and final time, signed by the Region Clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book.
The date needs to be corrected. I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
It needs to be corrected to 2016 on there. It says 2015 for the third reading.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'll second.
Councillor Syke. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and bylaw number 23, 2016, being a bylaw to adopt a minimum maintenance standard for the municipal highways within the Township of North Huron, to be introduced, read a first and second time. Councillor Ritz-McMinga and Councillor Callahan. All in favor? Carried. And bylaw number 23, to adopt the minimum maintenance standards, to be read a third and final time, signed by the Region Clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Deputy Reed Campbell, Councillor Knott.
And the time, and the date should be changed on that one.
Yes. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Okay, bylaw number 24, 2016, being a bylaw to amend the zoning on Plan 174, Part Lot 2, Registered Plan 22R 5497, Part 1, Registered Plan 168, Blythe Ward, Township of North Huron, to be introduced and read a first and second time. Councillor Syke, Councillor Bodden, all in favor? Carried. And bylaw number 24, to be read a third time, and final time, and signed by the Region Clerk, to be engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Callahan, Councillor Knott, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that's a confirmation. Okay. No closed session tonight? Okay. We will move to bylaw number 25, 2016, being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Township of North Huron, to be read first and second time. Councillor Bodden, Councillor Knott, all in favor? Carried. And that bylaw number 25, 2016, be read a third and final time, signed by the Region Clerk and engrossed in the bylaw book. Councillor Bodden, Councillor Knott, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Is there anything anybody else wants to say? Councillor Syke?
Motion to adjourn.
That's moved. Seconder? Councillor Knott? All in favor? Carried. We're done.
We're done too soon.
So who likes the consent agenda?
Wow, that went better.